Hey everybody, my name is Rob Avis and I run Verge Permaculture with my wife. I recently got contacted by Vandana, who runs Humans Who Grow Food, and she asked me a series of questions that I'm going to address in this video today. Number one, the first question that I got answered is, how did you get inspired to grow food and how did it all start? So about 10 years ago, my wife and I were working in the oil and gas industry. And actually, if you go back a bit further than that, I grew up in a cake factory. I'm actually Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. We'd put down 100,000 cakes in a day in our factory. We had a 40,000 square foot facility supplying to the likes of Walmart, Safeway, Sobeys, Costco, you name it, we were selling cakes. So I'm actually from the industrial food industry. I then moved over into the industrial energy industry and worked in the oil and gas industry, building pipelines, oil and gas facilities, basically bringing oil and natural gas to customers right across Canada and even into the United States. And I remember working in that industry and feeling like there were a lot of problems. I really enjoyed my job. It was challenging, but generally speaking, I felt that all the work that I was doing there was actually maintaining status quo. I started learning about peak oil, climate change, and a series of other global issues. And I didn't really feel like anybody in the industry was actually addressing those concerns. And so when I brought them up to my bosses, to my mentors, to people that were working around me, they just thought I was a bit crazy. And that kind of sat with me for a while. And then I received Jeff Lawton's video, Greening the Desert. And what I realized was that here was a guy who decided that he was going to use every hour of life energy to change the world. And I said to myself, if I've got 600,000 hours of life on this energy and I've burned through a third of them, how do I want to spend the last 400,000 hours of my life? And what do I want to say that I have achieved at the end of my life? And so my wife and I, Michelle, quit our jobs and we started traveling around the world. The first thing we did was we learned about renewable energy. We went to Denmark. We spent 6 months at a renewable energy institute there. And then after that, we traveled to parts of Africa, most of Europe, right across Canada, through the United States and into Mexico, Australia, you name it, we pretty much went there. So we started spending our money and our time reskilling ourselves. And part of that reskilling meant learning about regenerative agriculture. What we recognized when we were in Denmark was that there's actually enough technology and technological advance right now to repower the entire world. But in Calgary, when we were working in the oil and gas industry, everybody was saying how it wasn't possible. And this was just our first kind of run-in with a substantial confirmation bias. So people believing what they believe because their jobs and their high-paid salaries depended on that belief. So as we traveled through the world, we recognized that renewable energy was totally a problem that could be solved. We started then recognizing that we all eat 3 times a day and that our eating habits are actually the most destructive things that we do as a species. It's not actually the oil and gas industry. I mean, it does its fair share, but what we eat, how we grow, how we engage with agroecology actually is a huge impact. In fact, agriculture has put twice the amount of GHGs into the atmosphere when compared to all the fossil fuels burned combined since we started burning fossil fuels as a species. And that's actually well documented by Dr. Ratan Lal from Stanford University. So after seeing Jeff Lawton's video, we knew that we had to change our careers. But we did it in a way that was not against the oil and gas industry because we liked our jobs, we liked how much we were getting paid, we liked the challenges that we had. It was more about working towards a future that we want as opposed to running away from a future that we don't, or running away from a present existence that we didn't want. So we were trying to move towards something better as opposed to run away from something bad. That was really important. So after we traveled for 3 years, we came back and we started a garden and we started growing food. And what we recognized was that we could grow an incredible amount of food and build topsoil in a really, really small space. And so that's how it all started. Currently, we have 2 other kids and we live with my mother-in-law. And we grow pretty much all of our food during the summer, and that specifically means greens and vegetables from about, I would say, the beginning of June, maybe a little bit earlier depending on our passive solar greenhouse, right until about mid-October to end of October. And so that saves us tons of money. But more importantly, what people don't realize about gardens, big or small, is it's not so much the volume of food that you produce, but it's the microbes and the nutrient density of the food that you grow that will really impact the health of yourself. And so that's one of the main reasons to actually start a garden. The other thing people don't realize is that the current industrial food system consumes 10 calories of hydrocarbon per calorie produced. So for every calorie of food that is produced in that system, it takes 10 calories of hydrocarbons in planting, pesticides, herbicides, fertilization, harvesting, food processing, refrigeration, shipping, and then you go into the store and picking it up and cooking it. So for every calorie of food that you grow in your own garden, that's 10 calories of hydrocarbon that you're displacing. That's an incredible statistic. One statistic, the 10 to 1, so 10 calories in for 1 calorie out, is very disempowering. This other way of looking at it is very empowering, and it gets people to actually take action. So question number 2 is, why do I grow food? And I've kind of addressed this in question number 1, but number 1 is nutrient density. So we have 2 little kids, and my wife and I, we try and really take care of our health. And so we do it for our health and for the health of our children. Number 2, we actually aren't actually farmers. We live in a city, we have a small plot of land, but in a way we are, because we farm students in a way that we try and inspire people to grow their own food. And so in a way we're farming inspiration and empowerment. And so when people come and see how much food we can grow off a really small lot, it has a dramatic impact on other people's decisions. And so we're really trying to demonstrate the power of one, or the butterfly effect, through what we're growing. So those will be the 2 main reasons that we grow food. So question number 3 is, where does your garden or farm grow? And I've kind of already addressed this in questions 1 and 2, but basically we grow in our backyard and our front yard. Every space that we can possibly fit a plant into has got food growing on it. And I should say that it's not just food, it's also medicine. We grow a lot of herbs, a lot of herbal medicinals. And so we're trying to use every little space that we can on our small 5,000 square foot property. It's amazing what you can do in a small space. So the next question is, are you involved with any community initiative, seed swap, plant share, or food share, or some examples of selling organic food, education, and training? So Verge Permaculture trains. We teach 1 to 3 permaculture design courses per year. And I always say that for every dollar I have in the bank, I've got 10,000 in relationships. We are also part of the Calgary Permaculture Community Guild. And so that works to empower Calgarians and even Southern Albertans towards creating a permaculture future for everybody. We also participate in something called CD Saturday every year. And so we've got a booth there, or the Calgary Permaculture Group has a booth there, which allows us to interface with other people that want to buy or share seeds. What's really great about CD Saturday is that a lot of the booths there now are past students who have taken our permaculture design courses. And so permaculture is spreading virally throughout Southern Alberta, which is wonderful to see. So the next question is, where do you see your garden farm in 3 years from now, and what are your future goals? That's a really hard question for me to answer. We've been working towards buying a small acreage or farm for a number of years now, and it seems like it's getting closer. So ideally, we're going to scale up. We're going to produce more of our own food for ourselves, but also for our immediate family. We want to create more demonstration and more empowerment so that people can come and see very simplistic ways of creating abundance within their life, within the food space, within the renewable energy space, within low energy buildings, all of the sub areas that we currently work within. The last question is, what is our social media presence? So we have a Facebook account, Verge Permaculture, but even better than that, we have a group of individuals that subscribe to Verge Permaculture Students and Friends. It's an incredible group to be a part of, because there's so much free advice, back and forth trading that goes on there. And so I highly recommend people check out Verge Permaculture Students and Friends. We also have a YouTube channel at Verge Permaculture, so I'd highly recommend you check that out. And we also have a newsletter that I write weekly-ish. And when you sign up for the newsletter, you actually get a copy of our brand new magazine-style blog book, which has all of our best blogs in incredible format with high definition photos and instructions on how to build various things. So I highly recommend that you check that out at vergepermaculture.ca. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you enjoy this video. Get in touch if you have any questions, and check out our website at vergepermaculture.ca.